Hello guys, my name is Solomon Barr and I'm making this video to raise awareness for World Sight Day. World Sight Day is typically celebrated on the 11th of October and its main purpose is to raise global awareness on visual impairment and blind issues. My idea for this video is 3 parts. The first part is to show different assistive technologies that I use on a day-to-day basis to help me navigate both my studies, my entrepreneurial ventures and day-to-day accessibility. The second part of the video, I'm going to take you out into the general public and show you what has been put into place in terms of public infrastructure to help visually impaired and blind people navigate and navigate. The third and final part of the video, I'm going to be approaching members of the general public, asking them various general knowledge questions on visual impairment and blindness, and also I'm going to blindfold them and give them a white cane and show them how to use one. It's going to be a very interesting video and I hope you tune in until the end. Let's talk about technology. The first piece of technology I and many other visually impaired people use on a day-to-day basis is something called an Orcam My Eye. The Orcam My Eye has a lot of features that greatly benefit people like myself, and I'm going to talk through a couple of them right now. The first important feature the Orcam My Eye has is a very important technology called text-to-speech. This technology takes a picture of text, converts it into audio, then reads it back to you in a voice. As you can imagine, if you're visually impaired and you can't read small text on newspapers, books, menus, ingredients, you're going to find it very difficult unless you have tools and equipment to help you access that text. And for me, being a student and an entrepreneur and having constant information fed to me, I need to find an efficient tool that allows me to go through that information as quickly as possible. So that's why I use my Orcam My Eye on a day-to-day basis to allow me to access all that text. The second and coolest feature that Orcam My Eye has is face detection. This face detection feature takes pictures of individuals that you meet on a day-to-day basis, stores it, you record the name of the individual via voice, and next time you bump into that individual, the Orcam My Eye recognizes the face and tells you who that individual is. There are plenty of other features the Orcam My Eye comes with, such as color recognition for those that have color blindness. It recognizes notes of money, so £10, £20, £5 notes it will recognize. And it even recognizes barcodes for products in the supermarket that you can't clearly read the label of. So that's the Orcam My Eye, and that's the first piece of technology that I use on a day-to-day basis to help me read through information, recognize people's faces, and recognize colors and money. The second piece of technology that I use on a day-to-day basis to help me with my education is something called the Braillenote Apex. Now, the Braillenote Apex is very simple to explain. It's a computer in Braille. Just to go through it very quickly, this bottom row of dots is the display. This is the entire display. This is everything you need to understand what's going on in this machine. Everything, as you can imagine, is in Braille, so these dots rise and lower according to what letter or word or sentence is being shown. And up here is the keyboard. Now you might be thinking, where is your A's and your B's and your C's? If you understand Braille, you know that it's different configurations. All you need is these 3 cells here and these 3 cells here, and you can create any letter, word or sentence in the English dictionary. And the other buttons over here, this is the back button and this is the enter button. In the center is a scroll wheel, which you can access the menu through. And this small device actually does a lot. It has Word documents, it has calendar, it has email, it has internet, it has reminders, it has games, it has so many things. It even has an entire library of books inside of here, which you can read via Braille. And the most impressive thing for me, it connects to Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, so you can search Google. And if you wanted to as well, you can plug this into a display via HDMI and you can see exactly what you're doing on a big screen. Finally, with the Braillenote Apex, it has a voice assistant. So every time you press a button or you're going through the navigation system, there is a voice that is speaking back to you and telling you exactly what you're doing. It has a very large battery, which can last you throughout a full working day, and it is replaceable and it is rechargeable. That is the second piece of equipment that I use on a day-to-day basis to help me with my visual impairment. The third and most important piece of technology that I use on a day-to-day basis is a screen reader. Now, a screen reader has been around for a long time and they've evolved over the years. And at the minute, I'm using something called VoiceOver, which is automatically built into Apple products. It's easy to use, it's very efficient, and it doesn't require any third-party downloading of anything, to allow you to access it. The reason I use it is to complete daily tasks like emails, essay writing, and just general day-to-day Googling and finding out information. I'm now going to do just a quick example of how I use VoiceOver. Once I've highlighted the text I would like to be read out, I press the keyboard and it will start reading to me, just like this.
World Sight Day, the most important advocacy and communications day in the eye health calendar, is on the 10th of October.
Some people can find that voice very irritating, but once you get used to it and once you understand the benefits it has to your life, you look past that very quickly. The fourth and final piece of VI technology that I use on a day-to-day basis that you might not have expected is actually a long white cane. Now, it's not a piece of technology, but it is a useful tool. With RP, I have something called night blindness. I'm not able to see very well in the dark, so that's when I tend to bring out my cane and use it. Also, in difficult public situations where there are steps and lampposts that aren't very clear, I'll bring out my white cane and use it, and that's why millions of people around the world use the white cane. It's not a piece of technology, but it's a very handy tool of helping you get around. The next section of this video is taking you into the general public and showing you different modes of infrastructure that have been put in place to help visually impaired and blind people navigate the public safely. The first thing I'm going to show you is something called a spinning cone. When you typically go to a set of traffic lights to cross, you press the button and you wait for the green man across the road. But what you don't know is under the box is something called a spinning cone. And this cone spins when the red man turns green to notify visually impaired people that it's safe to cross. The second piece of infrastructure that's in the public to help us cross safely is something called a pelican siren. Now, the reason it's called a pelican crossing is because it sounds like a pelican when it beeps, and this is the traditional beeping you hear at traffic lights, and this is what indicates to visually impaired and blind people that it's safe to cross. The third bit of infrastructure that has been put in place to help us safe crossly are these bumps on the floor. You might not have known this and you might have thought that it's to stop people from slipping, but actually it's for when visually impaired people and blind people are walking across the pavement, they feel the bumps on the ground and know that this is a crossing area, and that alerts them to start finding where the buttons are and to know where to cross. The last bit of infrastructure I'd like to show you are painted edges. People with visual impairments typically have very low vision, in low light conditions or very low contrast, and something like this really helps them to define the edges on steps to avoid them, tripping over the edges and falling over and hurting themselves. So, for myself, I can see this clearly. As I'm walking, I can see the edges and I can judge my steps very carefully. The last thing to keep in mind as well is this railing and how it follows the angle of the steps. When there's a flat area, the railing's flat. As there starts to become a step, it starts to incline and it follows the gradient of the step. So if you're visually impaired or blind, you can hold onto a railing and it will guide you as the steps get higher and as it gets flat and as it continues to get high. So all these things are built into society to help people like us maneuver safely around the general public. For this third and final part of my VI awareness video, I'm going to be confronting members of the general public, asking them general knowledge questions about VI/blindness, and also hopefully getting them to try and use a blind stick. Let's get into it. So the first person I'm going to be interviewing is this lady called Saskia. How are you doing? You right?
Good, thank you.
Amazing. So, for this video, I'm creating awareness for visually impaired and blind people because I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there and there's a lot of people in the public that don't really understand what it is. So, what we're going to do here together is I'm going to ask you a few questions, general knowledge questions, see if you can get them right. And then hopefully, secondly, I'm going to get you to try and use a blind stick while being blindfolded. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So the first question is, what is the difference between being visually impaired and being blind?
I suppose it's having like, you can see different amounts of light in your eye, if you put it that way, so that like being visually impaired, you see some sort of light compared to being blind where you see none.
Mm-hmm. That's a good answer. I think that's a really good answer. But I think also with visual impairments, there's different levels to it, different percentages, different amounts, like you said, of light that gets into the eye, but also different issues, whether it's retinal, whether it's, you know, based on the lens, whether you've got cataracts. So there's different types of visual impairments. Some people where the eye, you know, shakes so quickly that they can't focus on something, and you know, whereas blindness is, you know, you are blind, but also you can be registered blind but still have a visual impairment, because your level of vision is so low that it basically is unusable. So really good answer. I think she has a really good, you know, idea about the difference between visual impairment and blindness. Name 3 famous visually impaired or blind people.
Oh, that's a hard one because I'm really bad with names.
Or just what they do.
I can't. I'm so sorry. So sorry.
Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles. No problem. I'll let you go.
I'm so sorry.
No problem at all. And the last question is, what is the difference between a long cane and a cymbal cane?
I don't know myself actually.
Okay. These are pretty tricky questions, and I think if you're not in the world of VI / blindness, you won't really understand. But typically, you'll see people walking around, you know, with a long, you know, white stick. Mm-hmm. The long one is to, you know, physically help you, you know, get around and feel around your environment if you're not able to see it properly. Whereas the cymbal cane is typically a lot shorter, and you know, you just hold it to symbolize that you are VI, and you know, people can see that you're not completely blind, but you know, you still have a form of visual impairment. So for this second bit, I'm going to blindfold you. Don't worry, it's brand new. And I'm going to get you to try and use this long cane. How does that sound?
Brilliant. Let's do it.
Okay. Quick warning: there is a lake / river here, so we're going to be careful Saskia doesn't fall in. And if she does, then we'll all laugh and go home. I'm joking. We'll make sure you don't fall over. All right, let's do this. Cool. So if you could put that on for me. It says please go away. And then what I'm going to do is hand you the cane. Mm-hmm. And this is essentially an experience of what it's like to use a cane, because a lot of people ask me, oh my god, what does it do? Does it talk to you? You know, does it vibrate? Is it magic? No, it's a simple stick, you know, that helps you feel the physical environment around you and stops you from bumping into obstacles. So right in front of you, there's a tree. And if you're completely blind, you won't be able to see that tree. So this cane is hopefully going to indicate to you that there's a tree in front of you. So what I'd like you to do is to slowly walk in front of you. And actually, before you start walking, I'm going to show you how to use the cane properly. So you hold it like this, with one hand. There you go. And what you're going to do is go left, right as you're walking forward. And eventually, hopefully, you'll bump into the tree. So if you can start walking for me, left and right, there you go. I'll stay this side of you so you don't end up
in the river.
There you go.
Oh,
And
yeah.
what do you feel there?
There's definitely something
And
there.
if you reach out with your hand, a little bit forward, a little bit more forward, a little bit more forward. There you go. Now you can feel that there's a tree there, and that will hopefully stop you from bumping into it. And if you carry on walking, there you go. And can you feel how the surface changes?
Yeah, I can.
Through the vibrational feedback on the stick. And so that can also indicate to you, you can stop walking now. That can indicate to you also what surface you're on, whether you're on grass or whether you're on, you know, tarmac, or whether you're on, you know, an ordinary pavement. So has that given you, you know, a feeling as to what, you know, the cane, you can take your blindfold off,
Oh,
the cane kind of does for visually impaired
it's
people?
very interesting because I mean, you see people with a cane and you kind of like wonder how it works, but
Yeah.
it's quite something like feeling it yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like I said, the vibrational feedback you get from your surroundings, you know, indicates you where you are, you know, when you need to turn, you know, when you need to avoid obstacles. But also, you know, for other people that are a lot, you know, higher leveled, they actually use the sound, because when you hit surfaces sometimes you hear an echo, and that gives them a sound feedback of where they are, whether they're in a large environment or a narrow environment. Was that a great experience for you?
Yes, it was. Thank you so much.
Fantastic, thank you.
Brilliant.
Cool. Hello Bertie, how you doing?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Awesome. So, you know, this is a VI/blind awareness video, and you know, I'm going into the general public to ask you a couple of Q&As to see if you know a little bit about vision impairment, and hopefully I'm going to get you to use, you know, this white stick as well to give you an experience of what it's like to use one. So, are you ready to jump in straight to the questions?
Okay.
Cool. What is the difference between visually impaired and blindness?
Visual impairment means you only have part of your sight. Blindness can mean you don't have any sight.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. Name me 3 famous blind/visually impaired people.
Stevie Wonder.
Good.
I don't know.
That's okay. Have you been on a bus before?
Yeah.
On the stop button, there's Braille.
Yeah.
What letter does that symbolize in Braille?
S for stop.
Yes!
Yay, that was a
You
guess.
got it! That was incredible. There you go, put that on.
Right. Oh god, I'm blind.
Should I grab your glasses?
No, I've got it.
Alright, cool. So what you need to think about when you're using the cane is what's around you.
Okay.
So you're gonna walk into an obstacle in a minute, and I want you to let me know when you can feel the obstacle on here, because it's gonna, you know, give you vibrational feedback in the handle.
Are you the obstacle?
I'm always the obstacle. There you go. If you hold on to it properly like that,
Okay.
so a nice firm grip, and then as you're walking, you need to sweep it left, right, so you get good coverage of your body.
Okay.
So if you start walking forward, I'll protect you from falling over. There you go. And pretty soon you're gonna hit an obstacle. What? Do you know what that is?
I think that's a tree.
If you walk forward a little bit and feel it. There you go.
Yeah,
It's a tree. You got it. And then can you also feel how the ground is changing, how the surface of the floor
it's like
is
got a
changing?
gradient in it.
It is. Oh, and you can feel how it's going up as well, like a
Yeah.
hill. You can feel it getting steeper before you actually get steeper. Excellent. Cool. You can take your blindfold off.
That was weird.
So there you have it, guys. That's my contribution towards VI/Blindness Awareness Day. I've talked to you about the different technologies I use to help me get on day to day in my general life. I've showed you different forms of infrastructure that has been built into the general public to help us, for example, cross the road and go up flights of stairs safely. And I've also gone out into the general public, asked people some common VI/blind misconceptions and got them to use a white cane. I really hope you enjoyed watching this. If you did, please share it with your friends and family to increase awareness, and if you do know someone that's visually impaired/blind, also send them a video to see if, you know, they can get some of those questions right as well. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.